Well, today certainly feels like the first day back at school, but instead of children going to school, it's our politicians going back into parliament and doing their job. And well, just like the first day back at school, this was a zoo. It was an absolute bloodbath. You had people from both sides of the benches just screaming. And of course, I'm talking about Question Period, which today I streamed it on. If you aren't already following Question Period, or if you're looking for somewhere to follow the live streams when Question Period happens, let me direct you to my second channel called House of Canada, where I stream every single episode live as it happens. And we had almost, I think, around 2,000 live concurrent viewers, which is more than CPAC, which is more than CPAC television. It's absolutely insane. So many people are interested in what's happening, and I am very appreciative and grateful that a lot of people want to tune in to my commentary and my live streams for that. So we're actually going to take a look right now at some of the breakdowns. I've done this before. It's going to be a little weird, but you're going to see me dressed exactly how I am in the bottom right corner, because this is pulled from my live stream. So that's me commenting on Question Period, but I have a bunch of clips pulled up, of course. And without, before we get into it, of course, I want to, encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It really helps grow the channel. If you'd like a matching hat, you can find the link for that down in the description below. I'm not wearing my own merch right now. That's because it was the first day back at school, and my wife picked out my shirt, and this is one of the nicest shirts that I have. And so I dress for the occasion. Of course, I don't have a suit. I don't do that stuff. I'm like total hippie, man. I don't wear suits, bro. I got sandals year round, man. So this is the best that I can do. Anyways, let's, no further ado, let's get into the first day back at school video.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, after the summer that these Liberals have had, even the Prime Minister must admit that he's not worth the cost. Yeah. 8 years after he promised to make housing more affordable, he doubled the cost, doubled the rent, doubled mortgage payments, doubled the needed down payment. Then he said housing is not his job. And then he panicked when he plummeted in the polls and recycled promises that he'd broken 6 years earlier. Mr. Speaker, it took him 8 years to cause this housing hell. How long will it take to fix it?
Wow.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
He did plummet in the polls real bad. Horribly plummeted.
Housing built faster, and that's exactly what we're doing right across the country, including, for example, with the City of London, where we've got a deal done that fast-tracks the creation of over 2,000 additional housing units over the next 3 years, builds thousands more in the years to come.
That's nothing.
By cutting red tape, fixing outdated zoning policies, and building more homes faster. This is our first deal, but I promise, not the last.
They need 2,000 a year, not 3 years. So that's exactly right. In case that went over your head, Justin Trudeau is bragging about the fact that they've put a lot of money, millions of dollars, into a housing accelerator program, which is going to cut the red tape. If that sounds familiar, that's because it's a conservative talking point. So the Liberals are running out of options. They've tanked in the polls. So they're just pretty much reiterating everything that Pierre has said, and they're trying to brand it as their own. And of course, they get called out not only by me, but by the mainstream media, by independent media, and by the conservative federal politicians. But aside from that weird plagiarism, I guess, you have Justin Trudeau's bragging about 2,000 homes being built in a 3-year span. I don't know about you, but that's not something I would be bragging about. 2,000 homes in a town in 6 months, or even in 1 year, that's a little bit, worthwhile bragging. But 2,000 homes in 3 years, we're gonna implode. Our country is going to implode. We are expected to have 500,000 to 1 million people immigrate to Canada. That means that even when you look at the death rate, the birth rate, people leaving, people coming in, we're a net positive of 500,000 to 1 million. It's probably going to be around more 750,000 to 1.3 million per year, because Canada has this centurion goal, or whatever it's called, of having 100 million population by the year 2100, which is around 800,000 people per year until we hit the year 2100. We don't have the housing for this. We have the land. Of course we have the land, but we don't have the housing. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the amount of pressure on builders and cutting enough red tape to actually get this done. So that's a very weak talking point by Justin Trudeau. And I hope that the Liberals and the media, I really hope the media really highlights that, because it's quite pathetic at the end of the day. It's really quite pathetic.
Speaker, he's building bureaucracy, not building homes. In fact, his inflationary deficits drive up interest rates, according to former Liberal Finance Minister John Manley. And that ensures that it's harder not only to buy homes, but to build them. Today, we got the devastating news that not only are we not increasing home building was down in August, 18 months after his so-called accelerator was brought into place. So when will the Prime Minister realize that he's not worth the cost, get out of the way, and build homes, not bureaucracy?
Yeah, and more than 2,000 homes in 3 years. That's...
Speaker, the opposition
not impressive.
Won't help get houses built. Our plan does. The Minister of Housing wrote the Mayor of Calgary offering to partner with the city if they made necessary changes for more affordable housing. And just this Saturday, the City of Calgary approved a plan for reducing zoning red tape and building housing by public transit. This is a step in the right direction, and we know together we can build more apartments for students to rent and more homes for families to grow in.
That's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, all he has delivered is an economy that built fewer homes last year than were built in 1972.
Wow.
And
that's
this year,
horrible. That's pathetic.
Construction is expected to drop further by 32%. Data from August showed that home building was down again. His inflationary deficits drive up interest rates, which make it harder for builders to finance their construction and harder for Canadians to afford a mortgage. So what will he finally do what he promised to do 8 years ago, and that is balance the budget to bring down interest rates and inflation?
Do you want to know the population of Canada in 1972? It was 22,222,221. That was the population in 1972. And now in the year 2023, Canada, this summer, I think right before Canada Day or something like that, we passed the population of 40 million, which means since 1972, Canada has just about doubled our population, and we're competing with housing numbers of how many houses are being built with half a country that had half of the population that it currently does. Where are all the workers? Where is all of the capabilities for us to build? Well, it's being buried. It's being suppressed behind this government red tape. I hate that word because it's a stupid buzzword, but it's so impactful when you actually look at what that means. It means to build permits for a company that has, $5 billion, for them to build a couple apartment buildings, or for them to build for a company with, $100 million, for them to buy land and build a whole cul-de-sac division, right? It takes years. You're looking at like 10, 15 years approximately for them to be able to apply for permits, with the federal government, with the provincial government, with the municipality. It takes forever for them to do that. So when they say cut red tape, it means cut out all the middlemen and just say, you have the money. Okay, we're going to check your finances. This is where you want to do it. Go right ahead and expedite the process down to a few weeks or a few months and build and build and build. There's no shortage of billionaires and millionaires in Canada that want to profit off of building houses and building apartments. That's fine. Let them make their profits. We need more houses, because the more houses that we have built, then that kind of devalues the entire market, which makes housing more affordable, which means that you're not going to be looking at $800,000 out in the freaking boonies for a single family home, 3-bed, 2-bath, or 4-bed, 2-bath. It's so unrealistic. So that's what they mean by cut the red tape. And it's a conservative talking point, and Liberals are trying to hijack it. Yeah.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
We'll focus on delivering real results, while the leader opposite is focused on empty slogans and picking fights. In fact, when he
real results, okay,
he bungled projects like the Toronto Line 1 extension, which to this day has no housing near a number of its stations. In contrast, we are actually linking public transit dollars to apartments and housing density, and we're doing so without the Conservative plan to restrict access to abortion, to deny the impact of climate change, and put more assault weapons in our streets.
That little smirk.
The honourable member for Lefty.
That's his biggest talking point, is the assault weapons and the crypto, and that's all they have. And in order just to reiterate the assault weapon claim, it's just ridiculous. There are no assault weapons in Canada. There's no military style weapons that you can buy in Canada. So that whole claim of assault style weapons and that's plaguing our streets, it's just a way to fearmonger people that don't know, right? Deborah, who's 65, or Susan, who's 72, whatever it is. I hate to pick on older people and the boomers, but really when you look at just headlines and news, and you hear a headline or you see a photo of, a printout of an article or something like that, and it's just like, oh my God, we got to get those guns off the streets, and people just don't have the time. It's not that they're dumb, it's not that they don't want to. You don't have the time to click on every single article and look into it. That's why people resort to channels like this, Mr. Sunshine Baby, or House of Canada, or other channels, your favorite Canadian YouTubers or news or politics YouTubers, because we have the time and we make the videos and we try and compact everything into 10-20 minutes so that you don't have to. It's a stupid gun grab. It's a tax scam, and people are fed up and they're speaking about it. So Liberals can regurgitate all the nonsense that they want. At the end of the day, not many people now are falling for it as much as they were 2-3 years ago.
The NDP has now been in government for almost 2 years, during which time, by their own admission,
there you go, Pierre.
Grocery
Call them out.
Prices and grocery profits have gone up. That's the result they get. And now they're supporting the Prime Minister's plan for a carbon tax that will rise to 61 cents a litre on the farmers who make the food and the truckers who ship the food. Their response to all this is to hold a big photo op today. The Prime Minister claims food will be affordable by Thanksgiving. So, by Thanksgiving,
I wish
lettuce be back down from its 94% increase because of today's meeting.
That's quite the bold claim that the Liberals and NDP have been making.
The leader of the opposition for his question, but coming from someone who advocated for crypto as an advice to Canadians.
There you go.
I think Canadians watching at home understand not to follow his advice when it comes to grocery, Mr. Speaker.
Oh yeah, that's all they have is crypto.
But no tax, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to do the tough work on this side and fight for Canadians at every step of the way.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
It's not just one carbon tax. There's a second carbon tax that the Prime Minister wants to impose on the backs of Quebecers. Yes, it applies to Quebecers, to farmers, to truckers in Quebec who deliver our food. And the Bloc supports it and wants to increase it radically, as they've said. This will inflate the price of food. Will the Prime Minister heed the call of the Bloc to radically increase the carbon tax on the backs of Quebecers? The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Oh, here we go, Harry Potter.
As it's my first opportunity to speak during the session, I'd like to offer my sincerest condolences to all Canadians and people who were affected by forest fires, the tens of thousands of people who were evacuated due to forest fires, to flooding.
Bro, answer the question. Just answer the question, dude.
As hard as it could have. At a time of climate change, a responsible government has to invest in climate change. And it also needs to support Canadians during these difficult times. That's exactly what we're doing on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker.
I long for the day where the Conservative Party is a conservative government and Liberals and NDP sit there and ask the questions, and the Conservative Party has to give the answers, because they will give the answers. And I'm longing for that day, because it's so freaking annoying. And I can't be the only one who's fed up with this. I know a lot of people, and I've noticed this even in the live chat of my live stream. A lot of people are saying it's called question period, Mr. Sunshine, not answer period. And I understand that frustration. And we're going to see a real shift as things progress and we get closer to an election. I have another clip pulled up here. Melissa Lantsman, Conservative Party of Canada, total badass. Let's take a look at what she has to say. Should have summarized.
After 8 8 years, the Prime Minister and his coalition with the NDP are not worth the cost. Housing is worse than ever and worse than anywhere. Years of inflationary deficit, Canadians are getting crushed with housing costs. Mortgage payments are up 151%. That's more than $3,500 a month. And in Toronto, it used to take 25 years to pay off a mortgage, and now it takes 25 years to get one for a down payment. Yep. The Prime Minister end his wasteful spending and eliminate his inflationary deficit so Canadians can keep a roof over their head.
Yeah. Good job, Melissa.
Mr. Speaker, plan announced by the Prime Minister last week, hugely important. This will make the numbers work. The governments of Ontario, BC, and Newfoundland have already followed suit. But what did the Conservatives say about this practical plan to get more homes built? They said, we don't need more spending. Well, how do they think we're going to get homes built in Canada? Is it by magic? We need home builders to invest more and build faster.
It shouldn't cost the government that much money for people to build houses. No, it should not.
The housing challenge.
Her logic is so flawed.
Speaker, let's play back the tape. In 2015, this Liberal Prime Minister pledged that Canada needs, quote, real change and affordable housing. 8 years after he created this housing hell, he says he's not responsible for housing. Housing prices have doubled. Rents have doubled. Higher taxes and more government spending equals higher inflation and higher interest rates. Canadians can see it. So why is it that the NDP Liberal government are the only ones who can't?
The Honourable Minister of Housing.
I find it fascinating to watch the Conservatives' line of questioning because they certainly seem to think that they have the solutions to Canada's housing crisis. But when you actually look at what they're proposing, they're just tinkering around the edges with half measures that won't make a meaningful difference. Mr.
There you go.
We are getting rid of the GST on apartment construction of this.
That's a good rebuttal, finally, from the Liberals. Instead of saying crypto shit.
Cities build houses, so they build them next to transit stations, to colleges and universities, and we are going to require that they build them more densely. We have much more to come over the course of the fall, Mr. Speaker, but if you put our plan against theirs, it'll win 7 days a week.
One thing that I did learn from today's question period and from this speech right now is the Liberals have been using the talking point, we're cutting GST on new apartment building construction, right? Or new condo construction. But what they're actually doing, and maybe you know about this, maybe you don't, is it's not places for purchase. It's only for rental units. They're cutting GST on new rental construction. So you still can't purchase them without the GST. They're being built. The builders are saving GST, but it's still a rental unit, and rent on new construction is uncapped. There's no limit on it. So it's very, very weird that they're branding something as beneficial when you actually unwrap it and get behind the packaging. It doesn't make any sense. And CTV as well as CBC have both made headlines about this, saying experts have broken this down, and it turns out that it's not beneficial for Canada. It's not saving any costs on housing. So the Liberals, again, have failed massively with a new project that's costing us more money, and they're packaging it as something that's, hey, this is to help you. Here's a nice handout. You're welcome. And it's a failure. It's actually going to cost us more money than save us. And it's just fucking FUBAR. FUBAR. Let's start using the F word as FUBAR, because it's just bull crap. It's just a bunch of nonsense, and it's very frustrating. So there was some things that were learned in this question period, and there was a lot of non-answers, but nonetheless, it was still a good episode. I hope to see you in the comments of the live stream tomorrow, which would be totally awesome. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments of this video. What do you think about this? Any comments, questions, or concerns about any of the topics, any of the debate points? Please let them run free down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do so by checking out the merch shop linked right up there. Or if you want to do something for free, which is also absolutely acceptable and highly encouraged, you can subscribe right there. If you want to continue watching videos like this, you can do so by clicking or tapping right there to watch the next upcoming video. And if you want to watch a little bit of different content, but also Canadian stuff, you can do so by clicking right up there. That's my second channel, House of Canada, also known as the House of Commons Highlights. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.